Welcome to a different kind of archery podcast where we're all about the real stories, practical tips and the shared passion for this timeless sport. Join us for insightful conversations with archers, experts and enthusiasts from all walks of life. From hitting the golds to the pursuit of personal growth through archery, we've got it all. So get ready to knock your arrow and take aim at a world of archery knowledge. This is Unstrung Archery. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Unstrung Archery. I'm your host Neil, and I'm alongside, as always, Nye.
Hello everyone, hope we're all keeping well.
Today we're having a special treat, having a dive into the often overlooked yet absolutely crucial realm of judging in archery, and we are joined by Archery GB and Lancashire Regional Judge, Juliet Spedding.
Hi everyone.
Okay. So, if you could start off by telling everybody how you got into archery and then how you became a judge.
Okay. Well, I started in archery when I came up to Liverpool University as a first-year undergraduate. They had a stall at the Freshers' Fair, which back then was a one-day event, and I spent the entire day there and kind of didn't look back. I joined the archery club as soon as I could after we had the taster sessions. When I started, I was sort of like, I'm not going to be very good at this, or I'm never going to be able to get to compete. And then I got chosen to compete as a novice in one of the league matches run by Newell, the North England University Archery League, and kind of didn't look back after that. So that's how that happened. Then I sort of stuck around at university for a bit longer than undergraduate, so first year, second year of my PhD, I became a coach, just a level 1 coach. And then I was also involved with your, and from there, when there was one competition, we had an outdoors in Newcastle 5 years ago, and one of the judges didn't show up, so I kind of ended up shadowing the judges who we had there. I'd always sort of been curious about getting into judging, but hadn't really kind of gone any further. Mentioned, that I was vaguely curious, and at which point it's like, right, put on a shirt, you can shadow. And then it went from there. So I contacted LAA, I believe, filled out the form, and then showed up to, I think my first week might have been at Atherton with Lorraine and Phil. And it went from there. I can't remember if that was the one I got blamed for all the rain or not. We had a few rainy outdoors ones that year, so I got blamed for the weather.
That doesn't surprise me. It always seems to rain at Ashton. I remember last year's competition at the Lancashire Champs, and we had that massive thunderstorm, and we had to call it early.
Yeah,
that's surprised I didn't get blamed for that.
Yeah, I just remember one of the.
I think I bring some good weather from the seaside down, because I've always had good weather down at Asherton.
Did you not shoot the Lancashire Champs last year?
No, I didn't make Lancashire Champs. I had something else on in the diary, I think, so I couldn't make it, unfortunately.
Okay, well that's why it rained. You didn't bring the good weather with you.
Yeah. I was across at DNA for their clout, and that got rained off in really bad weather. So yeah, I must have taken the rain up north.
Okay, so if you could tell us about what step does it actually take to become a judge, and if you've got any advice for anybody who's actually looking at becoming a judge.
Sure. It was 5 years ago, so memory's a bit off. I just remember you had to, I think there are forms you can find on AGB website, if you can navigate their website. It's usually best to just Google it. Or, a really good way to get into judges, if you're at a competition, to ask judges there about how it might go about doing it. Last month at Newell Indoors, we did actually have a prospective candidate judge shadowing one of the judges there, Sharon. And by the end of it, we got him. He was happy to sign up for it, and it was signed up then and there. I think if you really genuinely want to consider being a judge, the best thing is, if you're at a competition or know a judge, to contact them and actually shadow them for a competition. That way you can kind of see how we work, see what we need to do, see what's expected before you sort of signed your life away.
Definitely. And I remember that day I signed my life away. I haven't looked back since. Okay, so let's imagine a world where judges don't exist. How important would you say, from grassroots level up to let's say national events? Because people don't generally see it, they just turn up the shoot. They know the judges are there. I don't think they see the chaos that we stop from happening. So what's the importance of having judges in competitions to like have the integrity and smooth running of events?
Well, as a judge, you obviously can't shoot in a competition, so you really kind of just don't have any vested interest in interpreting the rules in a certain way for the people on your boss. We're there. The purpose of the judge is to protect the archer's score. That is why we are there. We're there to ensure that the rules are interpreted and applied fairly to all on the field, which reduces any risk of people being unfairly treated. As they say, you can have the UK record status events, world record status events. You can apply for your rankings. You can apply for the badges and things like that. You can have the scores go up on INCO to be used by AGB for their rankings. That you get archers from around the world being able to all compete together because they know that the judges are all following and have been trained and examined in the World Archery Rulebook. You know that regardless of whatever level you are, you will be treated in the same way. It's also an opportunity that at some of the non-record status shoots, potentially club shoots, judges can provide sort of information to the archers. So, if somebody shows up and they're not quite sure about the equipment of the bow, if it conforms to the rules, they can present it to us and we can point out to them, okay, this time we're going to get you through, but next time you need to consider this and this and this. So we're not just there to ensure you've got, you've got the qualification scores, you've got the whatever you need for your rankings. It's also right at the beginning for a learning experience for archers, and whether it's sort of a more friendly environment than if they suddenly went to a really large shoot and they've suddenly got all these archers who seem to know what they're doing, and some can be not overly sympathetic towards beginners. I mean, we all started somewhere. We all had to be taught at some point about how to do this. So this way, the judges can ensure that the archer score is safeguarded, which is the most important thing. We also are there to ensure safety, have a good time with people as well like that. Judges are working on the field. As I think most people don't realise is you are actually working. You have to concentrating on everything that is going on, usually sometimes at the same time. And I'm starting at like club level to kind of, if you're a judge at a club, you usually get people coming over and going, "Is this bow legal? Will this bow be all right? Or I'm going to be shooting at this competition. Can you check my bow to make sure it's fine?" And then you can sort of have a conversation with them and explain to them, "Yeah, that's fine. But you do need this number of arrows to have the same shafts and the same colour fletchings and all that sort of thing." So it's a great way for us to be able to kind of get the word around and then people to learn when they're at the sort of grassroots level, and then it becomes second nature. And hopefully for the archers, when they're going to their first competitions and things like that, when they're going to their first, competitions outside of like a friendly club shoot, it helps to take some of like the stress off, that they know that, their equipment is going to be fine, that they know that they have to have the fletching shaft and the arrows all looking the same, that they know, oh, it's a metric, therefore I have to not face it.
Yeah, we actually do something similar with that at our club, where I run usually at the beginning of outdoor season, off the back of all the beginners courses when we've had all the new intake, and just do like a basic club competition where I'm judging in inverted commas, obviously field captain, but I act like I would do on a normal competition. I'd inspect the bows for them.
Yeah.
Obviously talk them through how that process works so they know what to expect. So yeah, having judges at your club is definitely a benefit.
It's also them learning the scoring, because that's usually something that really worries first-time archers, that they're really scared about getting scoring right, they're really scared about writing it down, and you just explain, this is why we're here, we get a little bored if we can't use the red pen.
Yeah.
Well, and I encourage people to make mistakes deliberately, however, sometimes we're sort of standing there, it's like, I'm not had to do anything.
Oh, yeah, I have my club members. If I turn up to a shoot and I see my club members there, I can guarantee you they'll do a line cutter just for the sake of getting me over. Just do the line cutter.
I do that. I do that. I do that as well, Neil.
Yeah, the amount of times that I've walked over to Nice Target and gone, right, are you actually disputing this? And it'll be Nye disputing his own arrow, and it's like, why? Everybody else agrees that it's in. Why are you doing this to me?
Well, we just like.
I swear they like to.
I think I've done the same to Juliet as well, if I remember rightly, at Lancashire back early this year.
You may have done. I mean, only during competitions, judges get to know which targets to stand behind that will likely be needed for. Put it that way. Judges always look so surprised when they turn around. Yeah, it's like you've called me over here 6 times in the last 4 ends. I'm going to. We just sort of sit here. Or when there's a lot of peering. There's a lot of peering at arrows. You go over there with the magnifying glass in hand, ready, and they turn around and look slightly surprised to see you stood there. It's like, yeah.
It's usually target 6 for me.
Mm.
I don't know why. Target 6 just seems to be cursed for me.
And the one thing I picked up on, Juliet, that you said before about about the sort of club level shoots where you can sort of get to talk through archers through in a more friendly environment. I'd imagine that's quite a positive experience when you can see archers actually picking things up because you've taken the time to talk to them and they'll appreciate it. I was wondering, is there anything what would you say have been the most rewarding parts for you of being a judge?
I think it's when you sort of watch like a new archers with they're not even just junior, senior, anyone really. And they go through there, they started off really unsure and things like that, and then they come over and they ask for help and things like that, and then you tell them, and then you see them picking up and you see them, really starting to enjoy the day. And then sometimes several shoots down the line, they might be on a boss with someone who is new, and then they're teaching them.
Yeah, and you can see
they're encouraging them as well, so you kind of
Yeah, and you can see everything you've done paying off as well.
Yeah, and you've got that nice camaraderie that's going on.
Yeah. And then when you get the people like Evie Finnegan, who we had on the last episode, seeing her starting off shooting at the novice competitions and, and then hearing that she's gone to the European Championships and placed as well. And it's like,
yeah.
I like to think I had something to do with that by helping facilitate those earlier competitions that she was at. Again, if it wasn't for the judges, those competitions wouldn't have run, so she wouldn't be stood there on the line at the European Championships at that point. So
no, the European Championships wouldn't be happening either. European Championships, World Archery events, the Olympics.
Well, it could. It'd just be absolute chaos.
Yeah, there is that as well. Yeah, I mean, how you need to have the rules. You need to have people who are going to, enforce them. But we're not robots. The whole point of this is the interpretation of the rules. That's why you have judges, because we need to be able to react and then sometimes on these things.
And also for judges that you're not there to be scary as well. You're there to, like you say before, you're there to help people as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only time we become scary is if you're holding up the competition. And then Lorraine comes and starts biting your ankles.
Or if you won't pull your arrows in the last end before lunch. Once you've scored them, pull them, because they just can't leave until the arrow is being pulled. Never keep the judges away from the lunch.
And we're getting hungry at this point, so, pull them faster. Or when Juliet's doing DOS and she's trying to push the time per end down, and she's just literally chasing everyone back.
Yeah. when we're on a time limit because we're in a hall and things have started late and things like that, or we've had like having to change bosses because there were piles stuck in them and we didn't quite know where, and things like that. Just sort of trying to claw back the time and things like that to ensure that we get the first session through, and then we get the second session through, make sure they've got enough time to shoot, and then we can leave the venue so that we can hopefully use it again next year, because we're not so mad that we overran by about an hour.
With judging, obviously it's quite. I was listening to what you and Neil were saying before about interpretations of rules and things. So I'd imagine judging to be quite a challenge. Also, having to have the knowledge of the rules and interpretation, or the knowledge of all the rules of shooting and what have you, and across so many different disciplines that we cover. I was wondering what sort of common challenges do you come across? So because we always see judges as seeming to know everything that's going on, but obviously it's not going to be that easy for you guys actually doing it, I'd imagine.
No, I mean, it's because like when you start as a candidate, it's sort of like encouraged, like focus on the AGB rule book and then move to the World Archery rule book a little bit. I mean, for recurve and bare and compound, AGB now also use the World Archery rule books for this is what is a legal bow under this category, which has made things a little easier. But when you first start, there is an awful lot to know. Usually the best thing to start is knowing the height the faces should be and the tolerance, knowing what the tolerances are at the different distances, because those are things you're always going to need to know, and then just building up the knowledge and things like that.
Yeah.
And also, like Neil said, when you're before a shoot, reading through the relevant part of the rule book, and as you progress from county to regional, etc., then you're adding in more of the World Archery rulebook and things like that, because you will, and it gets national, be responsible for head-to-heads, the big national shoots where you have the qualifications.
And I'd imagine that can be challenging itself.
Head-to-head's a whole different ball game.
Which is why when the record status, it has to be national or above.
Yeah.
Who's doing that?
Yeah. You could do, even if it's non-record status, you could do with a national judge, because, you don't really get to experience head-to-head below that kind of level anyway. I mean, obviously... I think it
depends which county you're in. Some counties do more head-to-heads than others.
I know. I know we do quite a lot. Try to, at least, anyway. Obviously, we ran the novice head-to-head last year to give the novices a little bit of an experience of head-to-head, which they, few and far between. At least it's in Lancashire anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we had that with Mule. We did the first time we've done an actual record status head-to-head on Saturday. Give them experience, because when they go down to Bucks, which is a national competition of students, they will be doing a head-to-head there.
And it sounded like it went well at Newell this weekend as well, or the weekend just gone.
That was lovely weather.
I know,
it was all weekend.
Yeah, we were really lucky last week, definitely.
At York Archers, who very generously let us use their field, as it was a lovely venue. It went really well. The Archers seemed to really enjoy it, which is the main thing. I mean, that's the thing that's sort of always nice to see, is like how much they seem to enjoy it once they finish. They've sort of had a moment to realise, competition's over. See how much they enjoyed it. It was really good.
Yeah, and I'd imagine actually gets them in quite a friendly, supportive environment as well. Because I mean, I've only ever been Roses when it's been between Lancaster and York, but when I hear them talking about all the other competitions, they always seem, whenever my lot have come back, they've always seemed really happy as well afterwards.
Yeah, that's what we would try to do, is to give them the experience. We have the novice championship usually around December, which is purely for people who've been shooting under a year. So those who started at the University of September or started shooting, join the club in September, is a chance for them to compete against people that have been shooting as long as they have, which is not usually something you get to do in archery. So it's also a learning experience for them, so that it's not record status. So we can just say, okay, you can shoot today, but in future do this, and then they can get experience doing the scoring, and they can get experience when a competition, but actually, the judges there as well, so they can see what it's like. So we try to make it fun.
Yeah.
But we're also mindful of the need for them to know the rules and to have them enforced properly and fairly. It is more sort of, because it's a disservice to everybody if they are not treated, the rules are not enforced properly and fairly.
Obviously, on the field, people are so used to us being there now, that there's surely there's sorts of myths and legends kind of like floating around. But is there any misconceptions about judging that you can clear up for some of our listeners, Juliet?
We are volunteers. We are not paid.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, we may get provided with lunch and drinks, but we are there working. Obviously, we hope to have a good day as well. But we are working. We have to keep a constant eye on what everyone is doing. We have to keep a constant eye on the field because of the safety of which we are responsible for. So we are actually working there, and there's sometimes you feel that as soon as you put on a green top, it's a bit like that for any tournament officials. As soon as you seem to be sort of volunteer or official or something like that, that you're no longer seen as necessarily human.
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
Yeah, I can agree with that one wholeheartedly. It's something that we struggle with. One of my main things, and I think it kind of rolls off back into club as well, is, people that kind of like hovering around the waiting line and kind of like that's the thing. I am not there to annoy people. I think some people seem to think that because, if there's people over the waiting line where they should be, I won't restart that timer until they're back over the line like they should be.
DOS is responsible for the smooth running of the shoot, improving the safety of the people on the field.
Exactly. And so, we're not here to kind of like punish you guys. Like Juliet was saying before, we're here to protect your score and to make sure you're having a good, safe shoot.
Your results would stand if you do shoot a record.
Exactly. We're protecting, especially for record status, we're protecting your score, we're protecting the potential for your name to be on a record, which for a lot of people is a big deal. I know there's people that are serial record breakers, which, after they got the first shoot, they're like, there's just another one. Yeah.
This is why when you have a clothing violation, we will send you back to get changed, because whilst you can compete, you're not necessarily, you wouldn't necessarily have to get the claim record or the awards. We're not trying to be awkward. We are ensuring that every part, of what you're wearing and what you're doing and what you're shooting complies with all these rules, so that if anyone says, oh, you challenged your right to the record or the award, we could say the rules have been followed, they participated under the rules of shooting, therefore they certainly have earned and deserve to pick up this record, this award, and things like that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we want people to break the records. We want people to be able to do it properly. And I know people think some of the rules are stupid, but they are rules. And, the rules need to be upheld consistently. And if it's going to potentially... if you're going to lose a record because you decided that you were wearing blue denim, then, at the end of the day, that's on you. If you want to not take our rulings and say, no, sorry, then you're not going to get that record, are you? So it's not us being awkward. That's what I wanted to clear up, at least, anyway.
My favourite one is when you point out something on a bow, or say someone's doing a dangerous draw and you get the, oh, it wasn't picked up last time. That's my favourite one, in a way, because it's just like, well, that was done. This is now.
Yeah. Or I had one a couple of, I think actually it might have been last year, where I was on compound inspection doing the bow weights, and everybody should know that every year our scales get calibrated. So we know...
Yeah, complete with certificate and sticker to show when it was done.
Yeah, so we know they are accurate. So when we weigh your bow, you can guarantee when we tell you it's a certain weight, that is the weight that it is. Somebody came up to me a while ago and was like, nah, on my scales, it's this amount. And I'm like, okay, good for you. And I don't know why you're arguing with me, because it was still under 60 pounds. So what's the problem?
That's the thing. I mean, the key is with us using a calibrated bow scale and always using the same one on the field, the compound is that therefore you know that you're again competing in a level playing field with everyone, and judges are permitted to inspect any of the kids at any time they wish.
Yep.
And at flights, if and things like that, that they will be remeasured to make sure they're within the correct category. That nothing sneaky's been done to change the weight of them. Again, to safeguard the Archer school, to prove without a shadow of a doubt that they conform to the rules and therefore they have so most definitely earned that record.
Oh, I was actually going to ask you one about clothing, actually, Juliet. Because you mentioned before about telling and Neil as well about blue denim and things. It was just one that I was going to ask about more as much for personal interest. One thing I often wear is black. I wear black denim jeans. Is that one? Well, they okay under rules of shooting or?
AGB, yes. World Archery, be careful.
Because
that states no denim whatsoever.
Fair enough. So yeah. So if I've got my black denim, pack a spare pair that'd pass as well.
Yeah.
Just don't come in denim.
Rules, or just don't come in denim is a lot easier. I mean, there are certain rules that are enforced when we're dealing with the top world events and things like that. But so it's always good to be up on what the clothing regulations are. Usually, most sort of tournament things will say, we're running under these clothing regulations and things like that. But yeah, certainly blue denim is always to be avoided.
Oh,
as is camo and things.
I don't think I can pull camo off.
But yeah, be careful with the World Archery events.
Yeah. So as Juliet was saying, AGB is a little bit more lenient on it. With the World Archery rule is no denim or jeans regardless of the colour. And obviously camouflage for World Archery as well.
There's also the fact of actual draw having your midriff covered for both men and women. It used to just be women, and they thought brought it in for men.
And yes, I'm glad they did that.
Yeah, because let's put it this way,
and then the shoulders.
I was just thinking, no one wants to see me. It's bad enough seeing me at the swimming pool.
And then there's the shoulders as well. So men have to have the shoulders covered. Currently, women have to have that in the AGB. But we always sort of point out, wide strap.
Yeah, I mean that's more common sense as well. Anyway, especially if it's like a hot climate shoot that you're gonna burn. Cut yourself up. Come on.
You think so? You really would.
So, because obviously for coaches, we have to have one way we know coaches keep the skills up is through CPD and training and development, working with senior coaches. I was wondering what sort of things have you guys got in judging? Do you guys get similar sorts of training development opportunities?
Well, we get the seminars that happen. So in the regional and the judges' conferences that happen. So when you're going from candidate to county, etc., upwards, you'll go down to a seminar, or maybe they do online seminars now. So you can be sort of talked at by very experienced judges, international judges, and then they'll ask you sort of questions. You can discuss things and see, learn from their experiences and things like that. We also have the regional conference as well. So all the judges in the region come together. If they offer to calibrate the bow scales, an awful lot more judges do tend to appear, or one judge with everybody's bow scales. And then again, they're going through, alterations to rules, new interpretations, because sometimes as a judge, you'll be at a competition and you're like, I don't actually know what to do with that particular side or bow. So take a photo of it and send it off to World Archery, and they will then rule them under the rules of their rules of shooting. There are interpretations that, because people have actually said, oh, what do I do here? So you can see if their interpretation is upheld, things like that. And then they go through this thing of the slides and they like quiz you. So what would you score this if someone's put, say, 4 hours into a 3-spot or 7 arrows somehow into a 5-spot Worcester face? It presents you with situations and things to discuss and stuff like that.
I was thinking part of me now wants to know what you would do if you had 4 hours in a 3-spot.
Politely remind the archer that you to shoot 3 arrows, but it's interesting with the scoring. Because you treat each spot initially almost like it's a separate phase. So if there's a 9 and an 8 and 1, they obviously lose the highest scoring one. which takes it to 8, say 887. But because they shot 4 arrows, they then lose the higher scoring one again. So it's 87 there. Which I've hopefully gotten right. It's one of those ones you really need to write down as you're doing it. So, sometimes the archers will be writing it down because sometimes when something happens, sometimes some of the archers will know the rules very well. Sometimes they'll know them a little, or they'll think they'll know that bit, and they all pile on. We had it at Newell Indoors a couple of years ago. Someone released the arrow. I don't know what they did, but the arrow exploded into 3 pieces.
Ooh.
One piece was on the right side of the 3-meter line. One went somewhere else, and another almost ended up in a sheep.
In a sheep?
Fortunately, no one stood next to them. There was some sheep way over outside the side safety. But because of the nature of what happened, they found it. It was fine. It wasn't in a sheep. It was absolutely fine. But of course, because of the piece of the shaft was actually post, on the inside of the 3-meter line, everyone knows that it's actually, as long as there is a part, a part of the shaft is within the 3-meter line, the arrow counts as not shot.
And obviously that's a vertical box as well.
Yeah, they all piled on. They get to shoot another arrow. And we're like, we know the arrow has just exploded. We are making sure the archer is all right, not hurt. Everything is safe, and telling the DOS. We will then deal with it. So it's another case of we know what we're doing. We just sort of kind of back off a bit. When I've had it with a head-to-head, we did at NETC. It was like, is that a line cutter or not? And of course, it was like one of the deciding things. I did turn around and get them to back off by a meter, because having them all looking over your shoulder while you're trying to do that can be a bit awkward.
I can imagine for that part. I mean, having to make those decisions under that sort of pressure is hard enough. Never mind everyone watching you.
Yeah. I'm sure I've answered the question. What was it?
I think it was about training and development. Oh no, training and development. I think, like you say, it's about you guys are you're always talking to each other. You're always discussing changes to the rules of shooting and making sure your knowledge is current and up to date. So you guys, when people go to shoots, you guys know your stuff as well.
It's not just that. I mean, me from a candidate point of view as well, I've got an absolutely cracking team of judges alongside me as well. So while I'm judging, I've got like Juliet, I've got Lorraine, I've got Phil. I can just literally lean on any of those. So we do, any gaps in our knowledge while we're actually out on shoots as well, we tend to try and fill.
Yeah, so you'll have like as you come up, you have a mentor and things, so that you've got someone you can sort of discuss it with and things. So, and then we'll sometimes come along and sort of ask, what's the outdoor tolerance on the face height and things like that. Those are key things to kind of try to make them second nature and stuff. So it's also the help you get from your team, because sometimes you can't always go to certain conferences and things like that. So it's always nice when someone's been and said, well, actually, no, they've changed it, so only this counts. Or actually, they showed that this type of bow, they can't have this if they still want to be a bear bow and things like that. And we get the judges newsletter and things come around as well, which will have key parts and rule changes or rule updates. And I mean, it was a great one when AGB updated that what happens with pass-throughs outdoors is the same as indoors, and they changed the tolerances on the size of the faces. They did it so it would retroactively go back to the beginning of the month, and they did it the evening before my county exam.
Oh.
Which means it could very well be tested. I was like, thank you very much for that. And it was actually, they did mention it in the seminar as well.
That does sound painful. That sounds like a painful thing.
The AGB rule. Yeah, it was. It was just, why now? Couldn't you have waited 2 days?
So this is one for me as a TO. So obviously I attend competitions. I organise my competitions. I know we've discussed on here before the day in the life of the tournament organiser, but obviously once the shoot starts, you guys have taken control of the running of the shoot. So I suppose what I'd want to know is what would be what's sort of your day-to-day life as a judge? How does so it's competition day. You've come up and you've met. Let's just say you come to NBA and you've met me. What would then be a day in the life of Juliet Spedding, the judge?
Well, it tends to start very early in the morning.
So
because
early.
whilst there's a time that there is set for assembly and equipment inspection, the judges have to be there generally at least an hour. They intend to be there an hour before assembly starts so that we can check the field and check the target faces. For indoors, if it's winter, we will arrive in the dark and we will leave in the dark. Sometimes the day for a judge could potentially start if they're setting up the night before. We might be there to help out, to make sure things are laid out in the right place so that things are ready to be faced up in the morning. Never put faces on outdoor target the night before. It will rain, they will shrink, they will expand. It's just don't do it. Do it the morning off.
It's British weather.
So we'll get to the venue. Yep. We'll get to the venue, and we will usually the chair judges will have assigned the judging team various tasks to do. So we have to set up the DOS system, director of shooting system, so like the chronometers, the damage. We also have to measure out the field, so we have to measure the distance to target, make sure they're within the tolerances required for those distances for the round. We also have to not only measure the target faces to ensure their size conforms with the rules, we also have to make sure that their serial numbers are all the same so that we know they'll come from the same batch. So we'll shoot everyone of the same category shooting at the same target face to ensure, obviously, fairness with that. We then have to measure the height of them once they've been put up. Do the pin. We have to make sure that the pin hold up, make sure that's all the same. We do check the safety, the squareness of the field. Judges even check the range certificate if they've got any special dispensations about the range as well. And make sure that
a bit of advice as well. Something that I came across with the length of time that it takes to get a dispensation from Archery GB. If you've had to have a range assessor in, if you're running a competition, please make sure you get your range assessor in months in advance. It does take some time, and if you've not got that dispensation at your competition, you're risking your record status potentially.
That's not the only thing you might be risking. I mean, if you haven't got an up-to-date range certificate, no judge is going to run that competition there. Invalidate your insurance.
Exactly.
You have to have it, indoors and outdoors. And so we've got that. So we've got the field ready. Probably also check to make sure where the facilities are and, if they're able to cook breakfast there. And then we will be checking the archer's equipment. So we'll blow the whistle and, tell the archers equipment inspection. And then we will start looking at everyone's piece of equipment. I mean, for some competitions, we've got under 50 archers, quite straightforward. Something national, I did the Jonas last year. It just never seemed to stop. Just archer after archer with equipment. And that sometimes can be quite difficult. Sometimes you'll be assigned just to look at the recurve. Your mind can stay in, this is what a recurve bow should be. Other competitions, you'll have to be switching between longbow, bare bow, recurve, Asiatic if we're under AGB, compound. Sometimes you will have to keep switching between those. For the compounds, they have to have the weight check, which means they have to go stand far down the other end of the shooting line, because for obvious reasons, when they do that and pull back the bow, the archers prefer to have an arrow on the string and to be honest, so do we, just in case they accidentally release. Because we have to then have the equipment being inspected on the other side of the shooting line, well away from them, right, in accordance with the side safety. And then once that's done, and then the archers will be inspected, we yelled, "Is so-and-so here yet?" numerous times, and things like that. Once that's been done,
that even sounded like Lorraine.
Oh dear. I'm not becoming Lorraine. Oh dear. Yeah. We were doing it on, because with the university clubs, it's like ED. You call over the club captains and basically ask, "Oh, your team here?" And they say yes, and they say, "Good, now you can go away." So once we've done that, then it's the assembly. And I was told this many times. I've only been able to do it once. In theory, we should just be able to say hello. The TO obviously does the housekeeping and indoors, outdoors. We're not having any planned fires or anything like that. And the fields, your exits are basically everywhere. And then they hand over to judges who are choose judging team, and we should just be able to say which round we're shooting, what method we're using, and we're starting in 2 minutes. I've done it once at a club shoot because I just could. But no, generally we will then run through, this is the round, this is how many arrows, we'll be doing the method 2 and describe what that is. Sometimes if we've got new archers there, we'll say, if anyone wants a demonstration of how the kind of tiers work and what they sound like, come to us after assembly. We'll remind people to put their mobile phones off and on silent, and it's always great when I see people checking to make sure they have any questions for people to ask, including judges. It's always a popular question is, are we marking faces? And metric begins with an M, and marking faces begins with an M. It's simply because of the bouncer. It's bouncer rules, bouncer pass-through rules, and things like that. So you have to go up and check for a hole that's not got a mark on it. Then we'll, say we'll start in 2 minutes. I mean, 2 minutes is quite a flexible term, particularly if you've ever been on the field with Lorraine. We hit what's known as Lorraine time, which can be anything from 30 seconds to 5 minutes. We will then potentially do a demonstration of the sound system. We obviously announce to archers, ignore this set of sounds, we are sharing the system. And then once that's done, the however many minutes before has expired, you then start either practice or fighters. And then you know what happens after that.
Yeah, the rest is history.
Yes.
And also one thing we should also say about we've mentioned Lorraine a few times. I think it's only right we give her a shout out now as well for those who are listening who might not have met her yet.
Yes, well, if you've been to any Lancashire competition, you've probably met Lorraine. Lorraine is my mentor. She's absolutely brilliant judge. Yeah, she's taught both me and Juliet pretty much everything we know. And honestly, I don't think I'd be a judge without her.
She's brilliant.
Extremely well into the team.
Yeah, you can have a good laugh with her, but she won't take any nonsense.
Yeah, she actually because I was at the Ashton Novice shoot at the weekend, and she said, I think you were telling me, weren't you, Neil, that she said, yeah, and don't let Nye persuade you as a novice. Was it something along those lines,
yeah.
right?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
So she knows not to take any nonsense off me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that
not
is
even a Lancashire archer.
You're an interloper, are you?
He is.
I was just there for the cake.
I mean, that's all good.
And to see Bob.
That's fair. That's fair. Be there for the cake. That's always good. You get people, making food and things like that. So it's always nice to go. It just sort of feels, there's a community.
Oh, talking of
like
food,
that, and we can all have a good time.
Oh, sorry, I just had a side thought actually. So I just realised you'd started talking as soon as the thought came into my head.
No, sorry, go with it. You said speaking of food.
I'm going through to see Neil in a week or so, and I'm going down to Wigan, and I just thought I always hear about Wigan and pies, so I want Neil's recommendations for pie shop.
Green Elches, probably.
Aye, done. Other pie shops and bakeries are available in Wigan as well. Yeah, we're fully balanced on here.
Yeah, you're gonna have to try a Wigan kebab while you're up here.
Oh, definitely. Then when you come up to Morecambe, I'm taking you to Chippy.
Yeah. Okay, next question then. So obviously we have quite a lot of skills when it comes to judging. Some of them may be less obvious than others to archers, apart from our extensive knowledge of the rules. What do you think are the most critical skills for a judge to have?
Being able to shout loudly is helpful when you need people to gather around for assembly, but that's when you kind of develop. I think it's that you do have to be adaptable in a way in how you deal with things. Is that obviously when you have both juniors and seniors on the field, you would potentially, and new archers and experienced archers, you obviously be adaptable potentially in how you might deal with them. And certainly when the juniors are there, we always make sure that if we ever have to discuss anything to a junior about what they're doing, that their parent, guardian and or coach is there with them. There is probably an element of being able to need to think on your feet because something could suddenly change. Could suddenly get a dog running on the field, or a bunch of walkers deciding that despite the numerous warning signs and the fence and everything else, that it's a good idea to walk behind an archery box.
Yeah, if the people flinging pointy sticks wasn't a dead giveaway to not walk behind them.
Yeah, no pun intended, I take it.
I think I missed what Neil said there.
I think
The moment when you're...
it went straight over your head, didn't it? No.
Yeah,
Just going back to
the arrow
what you...
will if it goes up. I think it's also that it's being able to deal with people professionally, even when, you know, you had the really, really stressful day, or you're really tired because it's the end of the day, and you do get some watchers who like to wind the judges up, either sort of as a joke or just they just like to do it. And in that moment, being able to just deal with them in a professional manner, even if then you have to, you know, after the shoot, go into a small room and shout. You just, yeah, it's just at that moment you need to be the judge.
That's just, when you need to be a robot.
Yeah, that's when you kind of need to, disconnect. But again, it's being adaptable.
Mm-hmm. And going back to what you said earlier about the different levels of archers, or whether it's a junior or a novice, or you know, somebody who's experienced as well, and being able to adapt and change to what they need. Another thing to add to that is you have to be able to do that whilst remaining consistent with the rule that you're actually applying. So you have to be able to communicate that rule in 3 different ways to 3 different type of people and still have the same outcome.
Exactly. Sometimes you will have a new archer who's just really nervous and keeps making mistakes, is really apologetic. So it's always important just to reassure them, you know, this is why we're here, this is a learning experience and things like that. And it's also, you know, being accommodating of people's various circumstances. They're dealing with, you know, physical and mental health and things like that. So, for example, making sure that when we have if we have the breaks because of how INCO does the scoring, the scorecards, that you know, halfway through sign and things like that, so you can have a break from to do the maths, or when you're moving the targets and things like that, to actually say, not just say, oh, come back in 10 minutes, but to actually give a time so that people know that is when they're coming back. So it relieves the sort of the stress of that potentially. And just being understanding if people suddenly need, you know, health reasons need an end off. So you'll have a makeup end. It will make the shoot longer. You know, at the end of the day, that's the last thing you might necessarily want. But just to sort of make sure that any annoyance you might be feeling, or just exhaustion doesn't show, because you don't want the archer to feel that they can't take what's actually their right to have a makeup end. And I've been at competitions for people who needed makeup ends. We had it at the weekend there. You know, it will just sort of go on longer, and you try to make that sort of schedule it at a time so it doesn't make the shoot go on further. But sometimes, you know, there's nothing you can do, and you just have to make sure that they're comfortable, that you explain what you're going to do, and that they have someone on the line if they want someone up there on the line, so they're not all by themselves.
Yeah, because obviously judging, we've always had judges, and like you said before, we develop CPD development at the conferences that you attend, where you're all discussing changes in interpretations of the rules and things. What sort of changes would you like to see for judging in archery, Juliet? Is there anything in particular you'd want to change if you got the chance to do so?
We'd like to feel a little bit more supportive financially in terms of buying the kit we need from AGB. That we pay for all the kit, we pay for the uniform. Some counties are now able to, you know, offer certain like grants and things like that, but we do, you know, we still pay our AGB membership. Although some of us are trying to sort of bring in, if you judge a certain number the following year, you know, and things like that, they might actually pay for AGB, because there are some judges who do not shoot. So they pay to join clubs, they pay to join RGB, and they're essentially paying to judge.
So they're not financially supported.
Level of financial support. No, I mean, you get expenses paid at per mile rate for Clinton County and AGB if you go down there and things like that. The national seats are very good at like paying your, like they're very good at paying my training thing. I could stay at Lily Shore, but when you're starting, I got given a stopwatch and various things when I went to my county exam. I got stuff then, and like obviously before then, you need the magnifying glass, you need the tape measure, you need all that before then. You also need, you know, the uniform and things like that. I mean, Lorraine was brilliant in, you know, she had spare tops. I mean, I've still got Phil's face thing, which is very empty, and things like that. So you can get some help from judges who just got spare things and that, but it sort of feels they shouldn't have to. You could just have even if it's just like one top and like a stopwatch and things like that, just to kind of show that they appreciate the fact that these things do cost money. I think it's that feeling of, well, what we do these competitions, we go to these, we give up our weekends, because when you've got a double, you know, when you've got Saturday and Sunday, that's your weekend gone, and things like that. We give up our time, we do this, we travel places, we will stand out in all weathers, you know, blistering sun, freezing rain, and things like that. And yet, Archery GB, who you feel should be supporting us and things, don't seem to. It feels like they're kind of like don't really sort of support, or the idea that they need to show this support, because how else are you going to get judges coming through? If people who are thinking of becoming judges and then sort of might be put off by the fact if they ask, okay, so how much like support can you get financially? And you say, well, it's this, but you do have to buy this. It could be it's probably undoubtedly quite off-putting, especially with the rise in prices of everything. You know, having to drive a long way, spend that on petrol and things like that. And if things aren't quick in repairing you, I mean, why would you keep going? You can be financially, you know, quite.
Well, yeah, because it goes back to what you said before. That you're not paid. You're not paid as well. You're volunteers who are paying out of your own pocket to be able to put on a good shoot for us archers to come and attend as well.
Yeah. When I said that with AGB, I mean, the people that we as judges deal directly with, like Katie and Stuart, Rob, and things like that, they're fantastic. It's not down to them. They do all they can to support us and help us. It's further up.
Come on, Archery GB, put your hands in your pockets.
Let's give these guys this. Let's support these guys.
I know it's another thing. I mean, I know it's not necessarily much fun when your club's hosting competition you want to shoot, but it's always it's having an adequate field party also makes all the difference to the smooth running of the field.
Yeah.
So just having like one or two people who are always those who from your club always help as field party. It's just sort of nice when more people get involved. It helps lighten the load for everyone, which is always nice to see. Because if you've got like 70 bosses and not that many arrow jacks, and suddenly every boss, every sort of fifth boss needs the arrow jack, it's going to hold up the sheet for everyone.
Yeah. Obviously, you've been judging for quite a while, so I'm sure you've got a couple of things, or maybe a thing in particular that stands out, but can you share a memorable experience or a challenging situation that you've encountered and how you went about dealing with it?
And it wasn't when I was judging, it was when I was TOing. I judged a story of Archer's literal interpretation of the rules when it comes scoring highest to lowest arrow. Scoring physically highest in the target to the physically lowest in the target.
So it was in top of the boss to bottom of the boss.
Yep, top of the boss to bottom of the boss.
Oh, you gotta love archers.
Yeah. It wasn't my call, but obviously we would support our charity judges with when Lorraine had to call off the LAA last year outdoors because of the lightning.
Yeah, I mean,
she showed what you would do in that kind of challenging situation.
Being involved in that decision was probably the most challenging things I've had to do as a judge so far. I probably have other challenging areas, but I can remember the day quite clearly. That big clap of thunder came over, and all of us just literally looked at each other and was like, yeah, it was quite a fair distance away, which is why we were like, do we, don't we? And then I remember Lorraine saying, we're probably going to have to. And then that second clap came, and it was a lot closer than the first one, and it came so quickly after that first one. It was like...
Yeah. So they were tracking it on an app.
It was coming.
Yeah, it was getting closer and closer, and then Lorraine took the very difficult decision of, no, we have to stop, because everyone stood on the field with a lightning rod.
Yeah.
And then getting stuff off the field, and then the heavens just opened and it erupted overhead. So it just showed. And it's never a decision you want to take, but for the safety of the archers and everyone on the field, which is your responsibility, you have to call it. And it's never going to be a popular one. But there were a number of people who did
the hardest bit, I think, was the reaction of the archers for that 10 minutes after, when it was still perfectly sunny and the thunder had stopped, that we were like, oh, well, we've already called it. We can't do anything about it now. And, you know, they'd already started taking the targets down, and some of the comments you got from clearly annoyed archers. And then the heavens opened, and it was like, well, that's just validated the decision. Thank you very much for the rain.
Yes, yeah, it was, because whilst obviously the decision will be discussed amongst the judges, ultimately the chair of judges is responsible for it, and they will be the ones who will get the bile and things like that when it comes to making those sorts of decisions.
Yeah, and
that was
that weekend overall just was not good weather-wise at all, because I was crossing the northeast that weekend, and half time comes about. It starts with a bit of rain, and then in the space of half an hour, what was a dry, nice field, it's suddenly waterlogged with lightning going overhead, and it's sort of you know it's bad when a swimmer it's bad when an open water swimmer doesn't want to stay outside.
Well, I think most of us swam home that day. The field was pretty flooded when we had done.
Yeah. The thing about those sorts of judgments in the moment that you have to make is that with hindsight, it's very easy to say what you should have done. So, for example, if the rain had called it and the rain hadn't started and the thunder had cleared back off, but you know, in that instance, with the information available and with the mind for everybody's safety, that was a decision that had to be made. Or it's like another judge might insert other situations, not that one, but other situations the judge might do it slightly differently. It's just the fact that in that instance, that is what happened. In hindsight, you know, 2020, it's always very easy to say, I should have done this.
Okay, and just wrapping up there then, if you could give a piece of advice to somebody who you know is looking at becoming a judge but is a little bit on the fence about it.
I say ask if you know judge you can go and shadow on a competition. I say give that a go, because you can be there, you can see how we work, you can get an experience of what the shoot is like, things like that. What a shoot is like. Obviously, it's slightly all different, but you can get an experience of what you're expected to do and see the sort of things you need to know, and that can give you a nice little taste of if you feel like, you know what, yes, I could see myself doing this. Then I think that's probably the best way. It really is the best way, is by just sort of doing and getting to have that one where there's no pressure. You know, it's not expected that if someone says, oh, I want to shadow you, they'll turn around and say, right, well, you came here, so now you have to sign up. It's you know, you can have the opportunity, and you can say, no, you know what, I changed my mind, I'd rather not.
Yeah, absolutely no obligation. But if it's a good shoot, you'll probably you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, and so, like, if you do have a bad shoot, you know, it's fun, it's not fun, but the next one will be better.
Yeah, I don't think I've actually had a bad shoot yet.
And the majority of the actors are all lovely. You can have a good, photo with them and things like that. So if you do encounter an archer who's doing unpleasant things, don't judge all the other archers based on them.
There are, in any sport, there's your fair share of people like that, but they are few and far between.
I've heard that Nye can be a bit of a pain.
Oh yeah, Nye's definitely a pain.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Which is funny because literally every judge knows that.
Yeah, but you'll also have your judging team regularly. You'll have, people there to help. So you're not on your own, unless you're at the club, you're on your own, obviously, but you've still got the network.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, I can't talk on behalf of the other county teams, but Lancashire, definitely come over, say hi, come and introduce yourself if you're new to the sport. If you want to get into judging, if you feel like you've reached that point in your archery career, like me, where you're not going to get any better, so you thought you'd be able to at least go to competitions and become a judge, it's a good way of getting about it. But yeah, I was speaking to Lorraine about it this weekend, and we pretty much every county needs judges, and obviously there is a pathway that you can follow, and you can do as much or as little in that pathway as you like. You can aspire to become an international judge, go to the Olympics if you so feel the need to do so, or you can literally just stay doing county shoots. it's, it is a reward, and you get to see so many people progress through the support as well. So definitely go ahead and give the give the old judging a go. I believe you can actually email judges@archerygb.org as well, if you are interested, and let them know, and they'll get you in touch with your judging liaison officer of your region, and put you in touch with your county team then.
Yeah, there's definitely ways to express your interest in them. I mean, don't think that just because you express interest means that you're locked into doing it. You can still say no.
Yeah. Yeah. Just definitely go and give that one competition a try, at least, at minimum. And you'll know pretty much from that one competition whether you want to do it or not.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened when we had Neil indoors last month. We had a potential candidate with us, and then at the end they were doing the electronic form and everything.
Exactly. That was pretty much me on my first competition as well. Right, okay, so it's that time of the show where we have a look back at our previous competitions or recent competitions that we've been at.
Last weekend, so this was in May, I was judging the 2 days Newell Outdoor Championships, where we did a 720 and a head-to-head, and then a WA 900. It was the first time Newell have done that one, the first time they've done a 2-day competition. So shout out to Philip Arpio and Jake, the secretary, who's doing the scoring all weekend. It's great. It ran really smoothly. The arch seemed to really enjoy it, and it was sunny all weekend.
Yeah, gotta love it when it's sunny.
And I was following Lancaster. I saw Lancaster's reports, and they seemed to, the guys who went across seemed to enjoy it as well. So Newell events always, from what I've seen, Newell events are always, really, really well run, really supportive events as well.
Okay, so for me, it was the novice comp at Ashton. It was an absolutely cracking day. Obviously, the weather was brilliant, and I was there as well, annoying me all day, as per usual. But we did get our annual photo in front of their golden target, at least. But cracking day, and if you ever get a chance to come up to Ashton to do a competition, you definitely need to, because the guys there are brilliant. Yeah,
I was just going to say Ashton are always like you said, nice bunch, and just to say hello to Bob and Liz.
Okay, so next up then is any competitions we're looking forward to in the future. I'm just gonna do it seems to be a shameless plug every episode for me at the minute, but we have just announced, well, by the time this one goes out, it'll be quite a while, but the annual Wigan and Oral 720 and head-to-head competition is going to be back this year on the 11th of August. We should have UK record status, fingers crossed. So get yourselves down for that one, and we'd love to see it. It's a great opportunity, especially if you've not done one before. Obviously, we ran the novice last year, but UK record status, we're getting back to our normal competition that we used to run pre-COVID. So definitely get yourselves down for that one. Juliet, have you got anything you're looking forward to?
I'm going to be at Blackpool. It's the first time I've been judging at Blackpool for their 720. And then we've got the LAA Clout of London Sands, and I do enjoy that one. The Clout's a great fun to do.
I've not done it since I got absolutely washed out and didn't have a jacket. I remember it was my first year, and I got absolutely drenched. My hearing aids just decided to stop working because they're not waterproof, and I was just stood there in the cold, in the rain, yeah. But it is definitely a good shoot if the weather stays nice.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes as a judge, you're stuck on the line. If the rain comes on quickly enough, there's nothing you can do about it. You're just stuck. Yeah, that was wet.
Nice.
Well, yeah, we've got actually a busy month of competitions up in Cumbria next month. We've got a big four shoots one shoot every weekend of July. So we've got the Cumbria Flight Shoot. So going back to the episode we did with Steph Probert, where it's chance just to see see how far you can shoot your arrows as well. So if anyone wants to go up for that, that's a really good day. And we've got 13th and 14th of July. So I think this one clashes with the date of the Blackpool shoot. We have the Cumbria clout. Yeah, we've got the Cumbria clout. Then we have a double 2-day event actually on the 20th and 21st of July. So it's a double 720 on the Saturday and a 720 and head-to-head on the Sunday up at Penrith. Followed the week after by the Grand Northern, which is York Hereford round. So yeah, if anyone's wanting to travel up Cumbria way, then we've got a good selection of shoots on all the way through next month. And yeah, look forward to seeing you all there.
Okay, so that is it for this episode. I just want to say a big thank you to Juliet for coming on the show and giving us an insight of the world of judging.
Yeah, thank you, Juliet.
As always,
thank you for the invite.
Annoying me and everybody during recording and adding on an hour of worth of editing. You're welcome. So yes, thank you very much for joining us for this episode, and we will see you in the next one. Before we sign off, we want to hear from you guys, our amazing listeners. If you have any questions, stories, or insights you'd like to share, we'd love to feature your voice on our next episode. Just hit that recording button on your phone or computer and send your voice clip to us. You could be part of the conversation. Plus, we are building a vibrant archery community on our Discord server. It's the perfect place to connect with fellow archers, share your experiences, and stay updated on all things Unstrung Archery. You'll find the links to both our voice submission platform and our Discord server on our Linktree or in the episode description below. Your voice matters, and we can't wait to have you join the discussion. Until next time, keep those questions coming and stay safe in your archery journey.